Hi, I'm Gordy Gundaker. Welcome to the Dirt Parlor podcast.
Hi, I'm Don Martin. Welcome to the Dirt Parlor. And this thing is big. Welcome to the Dirt Parlor. I'm Don Martin, joined by
Gordy Gundaker.
Our show is proud to be sponsored by the great folks of Nutrient Agriculture.
Jeff Hoker and Hoker Trucking.
And also Bodies by Skinny, an official Longhorn dealer located in Knoxville, Tennessee. And
Checker Customs, screen printing and embroidery.
This week we're excited about who we've got on tonight. Matter of fact, I'm going to be honest with you, pray for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Okay, we got two lunatics coming on and join us a little bit later.
Yep.
We got Terbo, Tyler Erb, and Kyle Bronson. And people need to understand something. Like, these two are kind of like joined at the hip to begin with. And Gordy's already smiling because Gordy, who knows what they're going to come at Gordy with.
It'll be something.
But before we dive into that, because it's going to be a majority of our show, so folks, you're going to have a ton of laughs. I know we are. We've got a lot of things to talk about. But we're going to jump into the sprint car side of things to start things off. And no better way to start with the World of Outlaws. Last week, the World of Outlaws went to Eldora Speedway, and we saw David Gravel put a show on. And then we see, you hear a little bit about some of the things that were going on. Donnie was catching him. Did David hear voices? Who knows what? But the bottom line, David got the job done. He qualified well. And it goes back to the season he's having. People can speculate all they want about what's going on. The bottom line is the two-car has been the fastest car in the country for the most part of the season. Would you agree, Gordon?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, obviously, you're not winning races because you're getting lucky the way that they're doing it. That doesn't just happen. Clearly, they've been strong since they unloaded at Speed Weeks and on past that, and they're just still clipping them off. And their program is probably the best program in the country. If you ask me, look at how much money they're getting, is behind them with guys like Todd Quiring and that whole group, and the team that they have. All those guys have been together now a few years. They gel well. This they didn't win a championship last year because they looked into it. So, yeah, they're really strong, and they start up front on those nights. That's what makes the difference. There's not a lot of guys winning races from 10th, 12th, 14th. You're just not seeing it. When you win your heat races, you qualify up front, you give yourself a shot, especially at big places where clean air is big. Just in general, starting up front, really just projects your night out to be better than, if you have to come out of, the 5th, 6th, 7th row of a feature.
Donnie was really good. And we've been looking for that.
Yeah.
And he was really strong. He looked like he was running down, in the late stages of the race, and it was great. And the only thing I could think about, of course, we lose Saturday to weather, and now this tour, we always get excited first week of May because now the Outlaws go out and they take on the Posse.
Yep.
And tomorrow night it kicks off at Lincoln before they go to the Grove. Sometimes I think Lincoln kind of gets everybody's talking about the Grove so much because I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but Williams Grove has hosted more World of Outlaws shows than any other track in the country. And I think it's just it's prestigious.
Yeah.
Winning this race this weekend. And I know that the local guys, you get that the feud is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Between the fans and the drivers and who's really an outlaw, who's really a posse. Because I always get a kick out of like when some of the World of Outlaw guys are from Pennsylvania and they're on the tour.
Yeah.
And you go, so what is Shoehart this week?
Right.
Is he posse or is he,
right?
Yep. And so I'd like to get your kind of thoughts this weekend. Talk a little bit about this. I
saw, I know the Outlaws posted a deal the other day talking about, how many races they won last year when they were out there in PA. So, that's part of it. That's what's cool about this weekend is it's a rivalry. It's a feud. All of a sudden, them PA guys are kind of now rooting for each other because they want one of them to win them races. Obviously, all the fans do. So it's good for our sport, right? It's always been that way. It's the Posse versus the Outlaws has always been a big deal, and it still is. There's more on the line this weekend than just winning a race. It's there's a lot of entitlement to that if you win one of these races. Man, if you're a guy from PA and you win an outlaw race when they're all there and you got now a ton more fans behind you that are rooting for you, and I just think it's really cool because it's a it's a different dynamic than what we're used to seeing, right? It's like, I feel like on the late model side, it's like you talk about when the guys come to the Midwest, right? We don't really have a saying for it, but it is a thing. But these two areas have always, the PA guys have always been their own proud group. And so they protect their territory and they're proud about it. But when the Outlaws go in there, and if they take them from them, they make sure to remind those guys over and over again, like, hey, we came to your grounds and we kicked your ass.
Now, I'm curious. If you're Danny Dietrich, put yourself in his position. If he doesn't win, and if Freddie Raymer would win the race, would be happier to see Freddie win, or do you think he'd be happier to see the Outlaws win?
I don't know.
No, we're talking Danny here now. We're not talking. I know that if Anthony won, he goes, okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
But some of the guys out there, you're curious, is like, if I can't win, I'd win the Outlaws.
Right, yeah. I guess at that point, it just maybe makes them look better at that point. I don't know. But I don't know. I guess you have to almost kind of be one of those guys to know how you'd feel about it. But like I said, they take a lot of pride in being PA boys and the PA posse and all that. So I feel like they'd still maybe he wouldn't gloat about it, on social media and say, hey, congrats to him. But he might be happy about it, just seeing it from afar. Because I'm telling you, they don't like when the Outlaws come there and beat them, just in general. So I think it's more of a pride thing for those guys. It's protecting their area.
And Macedo's been really good out there in the past.
Yep.
Carson's been really strong out there. And I'd be curious to see kind of like a little prediction this weekend, from you.
I think Macri obviously has the best opportunity. But, man, gravel has been really, really good. Donnie's picking it up. God knows how many races he's ran there. Sheldon's good at Williams Grove. I think Lincoln is probably their best opportunity. That racetrack, I've never been there, but watching a lot of races at it, it seems like a kind of a tricky place to get around because, when it slows down, that middle lane that gets really slick, like if you go in there to try and run the bottom and you miss it, you're in no man's land. And those guys know that way more, I think, than just your outlaw guys who drop in a couple times a year. So I think Lincoln's probably one of their better shots. Williams Grove, I just don't see yet. I think it's an outlaw guy.
You think it's an outlaw guy at Williams Grove?
I just think no matter what, I hate to say it for those guys, but I think that's just the truth of it. It's just I don't know, man. It's not like there's anything wrong with the PA guys, but man, them outlaw boys right now, everywhere they go, they're fast. It's just
exactly.
It's just the way it is. So I think obviously you still got to go there and get it done, but man, the two cars are really, really strong. And
I think the two cars, that's my pick at the Grove.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm like you, I think Lincoln is the shot, and I think we're a Danny Dietrich, which if Danny would win on Tuesday, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. He might not race during the weekend.
I remember when he won.
Celebrate.
I remember when he won Port Royal last year when he got in victory lane. He says, "Dude, there's not enough beer in Port Royal for this team tonight.
Yep.
There's just not enough."
Yeah.
So, moving on, we've talked a little bit about the Outlaws. Let's get to the Midwest, and I think it was really cool. Ryan Timms got the Knoxville win last week.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're talking about beating Brian Brown and passing him under green.
Yeah.
And Austin McCarl, two hot dogs there. And I just want to make sure we give a shout out to that 10 card because that kid has really been working hard and he's really going from the midget into the sprints now the wing. And that team, the Liebig team, seems to be it's a strong team.
Yeah.
We saw that with Bagucci in it.
Yep.
And then we saw Tim's get in the car at the end of the year, and me and you both noticed it. It was like, man, this kid's got some talent. We've watched him in the midget, know what he can do. And we always thought that his weakness has been big racetracks.
Yeah.
And now you look at him, and to win at Knoxville, and I don't think people realize how young this kid is and what we could be seeing here with the Ryan Timms. And I'm excited. I was pretty excited to hear that.
Well, it's a that's a big accomplishment for him just in general. For one, it's a win at Knoxville, but it's not like, oh, well, there was nobody there. That's clearly not the truth either. And both McCarl and Brown have been really good all year. All the national events they're at, they're competitive. So I guarantee that did a lot, for his, his confidence. I feel like that team in general, I mean, even when Boguski was in it, like they were strong then, but, they make the switch, they bring Tim's in, and I think it was Wheatland last year. Tim's was running up front, and I think he had a flat or maybe blew up. I don't remember what it was, but was really, really strong then. So, yeah, clearly, their program's trending in the right direction. And, Tim's, as he gains more confidence, gets to these bigger places, he's going to be a mainstay on a national tour probably here in a couple of years.
And then we start talking a little bit about the High Limit Series. The High Limit Series, naturally, we're at Fort Worth, Texas. They got 2 shows in. And what's crazy is Brent Marks is so good at that Fort Worth race. And what's really neat is people need to understand that Alan Murray.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is in his backyard. Here's Mark's a PA guy.
Yep.
It's not like he goes to Texas and races,
right.
But every time he goes runs in his sponsor's backyard and his partner, he wins. He's got a great record there.
Yeah.
And so he wins, and of course, then we move on to we are off on Friday. We come back Saturday, and Rico wins, and Rico now has won 3 races in 3 weeks.
Yep.
And is really climbing even up into our top 25, moving up the ladder pretty good. And is this something that we're going to continue to see now, the 24 car continue to build upon this, what we're seeing?
Well, I think we were all shocked that, they were struggling as hard as they were. You think back to Peevely on that first night, he didn't even make it out of the C main, and nobody expected that. I mean, I'm pretty sure we picked him that weekend, so we're
right.
like, man, what's going on? And that was 3 weeks ago. Yeah. And then it's just been a quick turnaround for those guys. So I don't know if maybe they went and tested, or, maybe they just went back to the shop and said, hey, we need to peel these things apart, figure out what we got messed up, and get back going. But Rico's always been a guy that, man, when he gets hot, watch out, because he is he's one of the better wheelmen in sprint cars. He's made that known for a long time now. They've got a great team there. He's got a great crew chief. Yeah, I think that Rico's just going to keep progressing, as this season goes on. Granted, it's still only April, so it's not like we've even got into the main part of it all. So, yeah, it's just those racetracks too definitely play into what Rico likes to do. I mean, you watch Saturday night there at Texas, and that kind of gas on it, man and handling it. I thought it was really cool listening to Rico's interview after, him talking about how the workouts that he goes through, puts himself through to prepare himself for those moments. I don't know if a lot of people follow all his social media stuff. I've known Rico a long time, but that dude gets after it.
He's a gym rat
in the weight room, and so I think that says a lot. For one, because you look at a guy like Larson, he's not a gym rat at all. But Rico, some of those guys have to have that, and maybe that's part of it. Maybe he was slacking some, and he got back in there, and just the preparation was off. And
you think the injury, maybe from Australia, the injury maybe not being able to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a guy like that, when you're used to, you have a routine of things during the week, that maybe you're going to the gym and doing those things. Like, I mean, obviously it put him out of that but that couple month span over the off season. So yeah, I just think. I think it was neat to hear that, though, because I think a lot of people look at race car drivers like, all they do is just get in there. You don't really got to be an athlete, or you don't have to be this or that, whatever. It's like watching those guys have to run as hard as they did, for the win, at least. I mean, him and Kyle were 200% that entire race. I mean, Kyle never gave him a break, and Rico never budged. And so, but I thought that was cool, and just kind of watching that race, it was they kept having to kind of go through that hole in the top of 1 and 2, and it was screwing up. And it's neat to see two of the best on how they handle those situations, how they maneuver and change their lines to adapt to that, instead of just going, well, I can't run up here. They both changed their lines, figured out how to get through it, and yeah, kept hammering on it throughout that entire race. I mean, hell, they lapped a lot of good race cars there by the end of it too. So, and to hold off Larson, that really tells you where they've progressed to in the last 3 weeks. Because Kyle obviously has been one of the top 3 cars every time he unloads. And so I think for them, that kind of lands them in a good spot. Like, okay, now we're back. let's just keep moving forward.
And all Sweet does is get podiums.
Yeah.
And you just can't keep him off the podium. No. And the other one I want to mention, I thought had a great Sam Hafertepe Jr. I mean, we know this guy's a 360 guy. He is quietly, every time he's been in the 410 this year, he's been really solid. Yeah. And I saw his interview the other night, and when people were saying, trying to say, hey, you need to get out and travel a little bit more with these guys, he's like, are you kidding me, man? I got 3 kids. And as far as north as you're going to see me this year is probably Knoxville, and maybe take a trip out to July to Eldora, possibly. Yeah. And good for him, Yeah. And I know you know Sam a little bit.
Well, and he's been doing it a long time,
Absolutely.
Right? So, when you've done it a long time, it's not necessarily saying stay in your lane. It's just he knows where his best opportunities are, right? And if that's a couple hours from the house or whatever it may be, you don't have to go put yourself in bad situations. He doesn't have to for sure anymore, right? He's done this long enough.
Exactly.
And so when you're running a team like his that, they enjoy being, in their little hometown areas, stuff that's within 4 or 5 hours, places he's raced at a lot, why wouldn't you go do that? That you don't have to go be the guy that runs 120 races a year. Obviously, there's plenty that do it, but racing is a business at the same time. And so he's putting himself in the best possible spots where he says, okay, we think we can go here and compete. We think we're showing up here and we don't have, we don't have a notebook. No, that's not it. They have a full notebook. They're ready to go when they get there. He's probably confident into those places. So yeah, I mean, good for him, doing those things and then keep showing up and getting good results. What he did with High Limit, he did it with the Outlaws. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool to see him up front there ripping around top 5s and stuff like that.
And the other thing is, he's had the same sponsor, Hills. I talked about that the other night. I was listening to it. They've been together like 11 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Time.
Yep.
Great long-term relationship. And still talking about High Limit, this is a big week for us, especially your family.
Yeah.
The High Limit series will kick off Wednesday at 81 Raceway. They make their way onto Lakeside on Friday. And then they come home to St. Louis, the home of the Gundakers,
yep.
at Tri-City Speedway. And folks, if you don't know and you haven't done it by now, go to High Limit Racing and get your tickets and things. And I'm going to let Gordy talk a little bit on the promoter side a little bit because this is, and last year the race was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the drivers love it because when it gets slick, like it was last year, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to talk a little bit about what to expect this week.
Yeah, no, every time that High Limit's been there, man, we've had a hell of a show. I know the first year they came there, I remember Brad didn't race that first High Limit race when they came there. He was kind of helping promote and was out there working on the, on the track and different things. And just so happened right before the feature that night, something happened where Dad was not out there, and he radioed over to me and said, hey, you got the call on the racetrack, so you decide what we want to do. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, and Brad comes over to me and says, hey, what do you want to do? Like, we gotta tune this thing up for the feature. And I'm like, all right, well, luckily I've seen enough laps at this damn place. And, the Durst dice roll deal, I think Larson was the dice roll guy, and he rolled the 6. And Brad says, we just got to have somewhere because we need Kyle to make some moves and see if he can get back up front here. Well, sure as shit, Larson wins. Him and Rico put on a hell of a show. Last year, Brent Marks wins it.
It was a great race.
Yeah. So the Durst dice rolls hit both times at our place. So pretty cool stat for them.
Another reason to get a ticket, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Go to High Limit Racing and get a ticket.
Yeah, you can win some money. So, obviously the big sprint car series when they come into our place, I've actually told Dad this lately after watching the Outlaw race we had there in 23 that was phenomenal, the High Limit race phenomenal. I said, man, I used to think this was like the baddest late model track in the country. Now I think it's actually a sprint car track. And every time that they race there, it's awesome racing. The track gets thin, and they're up there banging the wall. I mean, hell, Brent Marks about ripped the turn 4 fence down a couple times last year. And I think when he got out and he said something along the lines like, man, that wall, I didn't realize how tricky it was. It'll come out and grab you. And I mean, he bounced off it a few times. So when Kyle and Brad set out on this venture to do it, one of the first phone calls I remember was Kyle and Brad called my mom, and we were sitting right there, and they said, hey, we've booked 3 racetracks so far. This is what we're doing. we'd love to have Tri-City on the schedule. And, from that day forward, my mom's all about it. Mom and dad are. And it's really neat when they come to town. They bring a big crowd. And the racing's as good as it can be every time. And those guys just know how to put on a show. And it's cool, I think, for Tri-City, for the area, to kind of have those big series come in, that people always show up for it. But it's just it's a marquee event for us. Obviously, it's also a little strange because we do it on a Saturday instead of Fridays. But that was something that actually Kyle and Brad requested and said, hey, we'd love to have it on a Saturday. We think we can get more people at Tri-City on Saturday. And it works out so they can do their Kansas swing and tie right into us. So, it's really neat. This is unfortunately the second year that Tri-City is going to open up with the High Limit Series because we've lost 5 races, I think, already, or 4 races. So, I know Mom and Dad were over there today, already working, and we had 8-9 inches of rain last week, and weather looks good all week this week. So they were over there today trying to pump water out and get things ready, and they'll be ready to go for the weekend. There might be a little bit of some water resemblance in the infield still, but the racetrack will be ready to go.
All right, well, that does it. Part of our sprint car part of the program. We're going to be talking about the late models and with our guests. And we're going to sign off. But before we sign off, little Gordy and I would like to, our hearts go out to, Boom Briggs and Chub Frank. Chub lost his wife, Mary, and Dirt Parlor's thinking about him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chub, is like a childhood. I've watched Chub race, man, when I was in high school. And seeing that one star come through town, watching him at Tri-City a lot, watching him everywhere. And and I've seen Mary, and I've even drank a couple of beers with Mary. She's was a wonderful woman, and I know that she was a major part of Chub's driving career, always being there right by his side. Where we saw Chub, you usually saw her. She was on the road, and our hearts go out to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so anyway, when we come back here in our next segment, we're going to have our guests Terbo and Killa.
Yeah.
And again, prayers, because I have no idea how this is going to go. Okay, back to the late model part of our program. Gordy Gundaker and I, we've got our guest on. We got Killa, Kyle Bronson on with Terbo, Tyler Erb. Last week, one of the World of Outlaw winners at Mississippi Thunder. And we're going to talk a little bit about these guys and what to expect this week. But first of all, Terbo, congratulations on the win last week, buddy. Well deserved.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun. That's the whole plan. Going racing, you try to win, and we only do it if you can do it 10% of the time, you're fucking digging, and we got one, so that's good.
The other thing is, you went in at Tazewell. I mean, think about that. I mean, that you went down in kind of unfamiliar country down there and took those Tennessee boys to jail.
Yeah, well, the first night they took me and put me out of the jail, so I feel like it was just the racing gods.
It wasn't the money night, though.
No, no, not really. No, Tazewell was a money night, and it worked out, so yeah, sometimes it goes like that. Just things are kind of going my way, and you just try to ride it as long as you can, I guess.
That's right. And then we, and here we go on the other spectrum of the side with Kyle, and Kyle's, announces he's kind of going to pick and choose now for the rest of the season and get his program back and coming out doing this. And I know you and Kyle are you're like brothers to me. I still, and I know that you'll help each other any way you can. You guys have always been that way. I've always had so much respect for the way the two of you always conduct yourself. And still this day, I will go down saying that the race at Tri-City Speedway, the UMP Summer National race of you two, and I don't think people, if they didn't know the relationship that you two have, and would have thought you guys hated each other, and but at the same time, that will always go down in my mind as one of the greatest races I've ever saw.
I think it was better for Kyle than me.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely
worked out better for me that day,
Hey, it's funny. I actually rewatched that the other night. We were sitting at the shop and had on the old races, just ripping through there, and it popped up, and we sat down and watched the entire thing. And I'm telling you, it's even though I knew exactly what was coming, I still just got as damn near excited as I was the same night watching it over and over again. And it was, I don't know, man, it was one of the greatest highlight clips you'll ever see, because when you go back there to watch the race, the like picture on the video, is Turbo just absolutely mounted on turn 3 and 4 wall, sparks everywhere. So yeah, that was definitely a good one.
Yeah, I think Kyle started it. Right?
No, bitch, you started it. But Turbo still ain't changed. Listen, we was racing fucking for 27th this year at Brunswick, and he still cleaned my left side door out on lap fucking 49.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if you can't race your friends harder, can you race hard?
Yeah,
so it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I think fair is fair. Like that night in particular, I threw a pretty bold move on Kyle, like on lap. It was like 10 or 20. Like I just got a good run, and I mean, if you race the Tri-City, obviously Gordy knows he's made millions of laps there. Like, if you ever take off committed, you're committed. And when I hit him the first time, I was like, man, that was not ideal. So then, I was kind of like, everything was good. And then that last corner, I literally had no idea he had such a good run. And I mean, then the rest is obviously history. You can see it from there. But it was like, heat of the moment, I was like, what the fuck? But then, you go back and watch, you're like, well, I mean, I did stroke him, so he stroked me. It just worked out better for him today. You know what I mean? Like, it really was like, it was one of those deals. It was like, shitty for me, good for him. But like, it was so cool. You know what I mean? Like, you go race with your good buddies, you go on go-karts and try to kill each other. We were just doing it on a little bit bigger scale that day.
Well, and I think too, we all know how it is. It's like, no matter what, even if you're buddies or not, when you're going for the win, it's like, man, you just go for it. That's part of it. We all know when we get in these things, like, you technically don't have friends out there on the racetrack. Sometimes you might give a guy an inch, here or there, but it's just part of it. And especially if you run over somebody early, it's like, well, if he gives it back, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And I think there's times when I feel like everybody's I feel like 10 years ago, people didn't race as hard. And now, I mean, me and Kyle have always been, I think we were on the cutting edge of that, like racing hard and maybe pushing the envelope a little too much. But in today's day and age, I mean, if you don't drive like that, somebody's going to run you over if you're in their way. Like, they might give you a half a lap. Some guys give you 2 laps. Some guys, they don't give you a chance. So it's just kind of always the be the bat, not the ball mentality for me. And I think Kyle's probably on the same page.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely right there with you with that. But I think one of my highlights of my life, I remember I think it was I-80. Randall come to both of us. He said, hey, look, you guys got badass cars. Both of y'all can win this fucking race, but y'all got to stop sliding each other 172 times in a 10-lap heat race, and in that one year, we didn't fight each other like that in the races. And he won the first day, and I won the second day at I-80, which was pretty badass.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is, too, is naturally with you both kind of like picking and choosing a little bit, we might see this little rematch again at Tri-City Speedway at the Summer National Race again.
Yeah. I mean, I hope it doesn't end quite like that, but I mean, if Kyle's there and, he's got his ducks in a row and I got my ducks in a row, I'd say be plenty of opportunities for us to put on good races and, hopefully come out on top, if not me, him, or vice versa or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's competition, and for sure, Kyle, I think he kind of likes the same tracks I do, so I don't think it would be a surprise if we ran damn near the same places for the next 8 months or whatever is left this year. You know what I mean?
Well, KB, let's kind of talk about, your decision here to pull back the reins some. I mean, obviously you guys have had just bad luck since the beginning of the year with motor problems, and just seems like it's not really your guys' fault, just shit doesn't go your way. So, go through, what that decision went with like. I'm sure, you probably talked with Wayne and those guys and how you came to the idea like, hey, let's take a step back and move on from here and just pick and choose.
Or did Amber make the decision?
Yeah, I think we definitely got the best motor builder in the country, really. Mr. Glenn's always been very good to me and very fair to me. And we had some bad batch of valves there the way it looks. And like I said, we broke 4 or 5 motors there, so that kind of put us behind on everything to start with. And then in the meantime, we've been getting our ass kicked, struggling a little bit. So it's like just talking to Wayne and just talking to all my guys and stuff every now and then, you got to take 2 steps forward. We just kind of pulled the plug on a deal. I hated it because Outlaws has been good to me. At the end of the day, we just had a setback, and I value what we do this stuff for. And I don't know how some people do it. Some people just like say, hey, I'm here racing. it's all about winning, and I'm not winning, and they're not competitive. You know, when I go out the driveway, I want to say, hey, look, I got a shot to win the damn race, and the day that I don't feel that way, I don't want to do it. So I got to sit back here and go. I've been doing a little bit testing last week, and that's why I'm going to race my ass off these next few months here and try to get my program back better and really get back to where I got a chance to win. You know, and that's just what it's all about for all of us. I think, you know, everybody works hard and everybody tries to get the same place, and unfortunately, there are 50 cars that go in and only one guy comes out on top, but you at least got to have a chance when you pull out the driveway there.
Well, I can speak for one thing. I know that when Kyle Bronson's running good, it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you're one of the, you know, you have one of the best personalities in the sport. And I know that Gordy, we talk about that a little bit. I mean, both of you guys bring so much to the table outside of the race car. And I, for one, I appreciate both of you. And love what you stand for, and going into this week, I mean, I know we got, you know, first of all, is five races in a row? Is it too much? You know,
no,
not at all. Not at all. Especially when we got big cushions. Big cushions, we can race 20 races in a row.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to pull the sympathy card out a little bit for you guys, but it sounds like all bets are off. You know, let her rip.
Hey, Big Don, but while we're sitting there talking, you talking about me and my best friend wrecking each other here, so I want to ask you something. You got a minute?
See, this is the problem where before we came on today, I asked everyone to pray for me. So let's go ahead and go. But, you know, you guys are racing with Gordy. I was hoping you guys would go after Gord more than the nice guy here.
Well, I'm just wanting to know, you used to ride up and down the road with us everywhere we go, cooking these badass steak dinners, this and that. And then you fall off the deep end, get you one slice of Strange, the next thing you know, you're fucking gone. Like, what's going on? Is she stopping you from going with us, or what's the deal here?
I can tell you right now with the podcast and everything else that Daddy's back. And I can't wait to see you guys.
So Wheatland, we're marking you down on the list for Wheatland then, or what's the deal?
Oh, I'm there. And
I could call, or Turbo could call and get permission if you need to.
You know, yes, I miss the, you know, I've been following it forever, of course. I just hadn't been gone as much. Been going to a lot, and Gordy knows this. I really got into watching a lot of those guys with the wings on top, you know, and yeah, a little bit, but I can tell you, as much as I love the wing racing, it's the personalities of people like you two, and Gordy and the others, that it's definitely a different. And I miss you guys. You guys are my two of my. I still have the wonderful picture, Turbo. I got to send it sometime. But when Squirrel, we were at LaSalle, and remember Squirrel was like running like 105 temperature. Remember that day? He had that blanket on. He had that blanket wrapped around.
Oh, yeah.
And Sheppy was on one side, and you were on the other side giving him shit. We thought this Squirrel was going to, like, pass out anytime during the day, you know? But that just tells you of, I've always said, the camaraderie that the late model drivers have. And before the races and after the races, what you guys do for your fans, you need to be commended, because you guys, you know, you leave it all out there. And again, I respect the hell out of both of us, and I can't wait. The only thing is Bronson. You got to understand this, Bronson. I make these filet mignons with the bacon wrap, and I get them in. They're massive, right? We're at Knoxville one night, and I must have made like 15 or 20 of them. And I always did it anytime I traveled with Squirrel. And we always had a great steak there. This Bronson eats them like cheeseburgers. I mean, it's like one after another bite. And I'm like, you realize it's a filet mignon? It's not a White Castle's.
I mean, goddamn, I grew up on bologna and cheese right out the trailer park. What do you expect?
If you got something good to eat, you might as well eat a bunch of it.
That's right. Well, yes, I will definitely be at Wheatland to watch both of you there.
Turbo, you coming?
Where at?
To the Show Me.
No shot.
I know you don't like that place, but come on, you know.
I would go to hang out and fish and just not race, but no, I'm not going to go to Show Me. That's what is that, the week or two before Eldora? So
yeah,
that weekend I can stay close to home and kind of get my ducks in a row because obviously, as you know, Eldora, and then 3 days later is the first week of Summer Nationals. So
yeah, it's a good point.
That's my. It's not a break. I'll probably race somewhere close to the shop, but I just, I hate to say it, but I can say with passion and sleep good at night knowing that I will not be the 2025 Show Me 100 winner, and I'm okay with that. So it is what it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just have to pick my battles, and that's a battle that I just haven't seemed to make any ground on yet.
Now let's talk a little bit about these races this week. And I'm curious. You got LaSalle, then we got Lincoln, then we got Spoon, and then we've got, of course, Farmer City and Fairbury. And Fairbury, we all know what Fairbury is. It's the atmosphere and everything else. But between Gordy and Kyle and Turbo, I'd like to know. First of all, let's start with LaSalle. And I'd like each one to talk about, have you had who's had success there, who likes it, who doesn't, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for tonight, Talk to me a little bit about LaSalle, guys.
Gordy, go ahead. Or Kyle, who's first? Who gets to go? We're going in fucking order, Kyle. Who gets to go first?
KB, fire it off.
I only got to go there one time, and I was leading and broke a J-bar there, and then I actually think it was a fall brawl or something. I think Turbo might have wound up winning, and that's the only time I ever been there.
Yep, that was it. That was a one and done for me. Because it wasn't open. Actually, I take that back. I went there for it was like a Hell Tour race long time ago. And then, really, since I feel like I actually belonged at the racetrack, I went to the Doll Brawl, and I think all of us were there. And I know Kyle was leading, and Squirrel was leading at one point, and was able to pass Bobby at the end of the race there and win. And at the time, that was like one of the biggest races I ever won, $15,000. So I was like, this place is my favorite, you know what I mean? But, then they kind of been up and down and haven't been able to go back. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to LaSalle for sure. It's a pretty cool place. It's like it gives me Tri-City vibes, not as much banking, kind of the same situation. It could be rough, could be slick to a massive curve. Just, you don't really know what you're going to get, but I'd like to think I got a good feel for it.
Well, I know I've been there a few times. I feel like I've been there pretty sporadically. The biggest one that sticks in my mind, there's two of them. One of them, I come from the back at a Summer National race and got to third, and we had a restart, and old man Dennis was underneath me, and Izzo went out there under the yellow and pushed the Uke tires out. And when we went into one, Dennis didn't know it, went down there and plugged one, ran into my door, and it was pretty much one lane at that point, and he shoved me all the way out in the crumbs, and I went from 3rd to 10th by the time I got back down. And then another time, these all have to do with Dennis. I watched Dennis about kill old man Moyer.
I think I was there that night. We get the back straightaway open?
Yeah. We were racing for second. We were all right there together, and Dennis just kept moving up off of 2 and moving up, and finally he just shipped him, and damn near killed Moyer. So that one was pretty wild, but it's a racy joint. Like, you literally just never know what you're going to get at that place, and I think that's what makes it cool. I'm interested to see what happens, just because they haven't raced there in a little bit, but I'm sure, just like normal, we'll find a way to put on a race.
And now we moved to Lincoln, the smallest racetrack of the 5 that we're seeing. And, I know my experience, and I always remember when there was the one Summer National race when Bobby and Figger both decided to go end over end, that night. And that's my biggest memory from there, always knowing that Figger and Bobby always seem to be pretty good when I've been there. And so, Bronson, any Lincoln experience?
Yep, so I've been there 3 times. I led one for a long time there, Summer National race, and Shep passed me there at the end, and then I ran second to Shep again there and followed them the whole damn race, and then the third time I went, I turned over on my damn head. So Lincoln's been up and down for me. So I destroyed a car there, flipping over there in 3 and 4 one time, and I ran second there twice.
I remember you landing on your head that night. That one, that I don't understand too, because it's like we're not even really going that fast at that place. But somehow, I think it's just because it's so damn flat that's how we end up turning guys over. I mean, Bobby Traction flipped that year when he flipped big time. So, I don't know. I don't really I don't want to say I dislike Lincoln, but I've never really had anything successful happen there. I won a B main there last year or something during Illinois Speed Week. I started like 7th and won the B main, so I at least got some start money that night.
What about you, Turbo?
Lincoln, never won there. It's a cool place. It kind of, the opening on the front straightaway can be sketchy. It can be beneficial if you're brave that day. It's just kind of a unique place. Obviously, really flat. It's got the berm and infield. I've had speed there, just never won. Fager beat me in Summer Nationals race there last year. Castrol race. Started on the pole of both Castrol races. I think they've had their front row, won my heat. Just, I don't know. Maybe just hadn't been my cup of tea yet. But I do like it. I think it's a unique place. It's racy. And, they're all in Illinois, so they're all good. I don't know many of them that are bad. So it's another one on the week. Just try to get through it, make the most of it.
And I think the next stop, Spoon River, I think is one of the most underrated tracks in the country. Spoon River can really be good, and so I'm excited about Spoon River on Thursday. So Bronson, talk to me about Spoon.
All right, so I only got the race there one time, and I wasn't very good. I thought the place was pretty badass there, and just like I said, I just wasn't very good the only time I went there. And so I've been back twice since then. That's helping Squirrel, because Squirrel is pretty close to there, and I didn't race a couple of races and just went and helped him there. And either him or Bab won, I think, every time I ever been there. So like I said, they pretty much got her figured out there, but I think it's a pretty badass place, and really I'm looking forward to that place as much as I am the whole swing here next week.
I feel like I've run a ton of races now at Spoon River. I used to race crate cars there back in the day, and so I don't know how many I've run, but I've had quite a few top fives up there, summer national races. Actually, the flow night 2 years ago, I think I started on the pole of it. I run, I think, like 3rd or 4th or something. I don't know, but I just think Spoon's so cool because it's shaped completely different. The way, if you got to run the bottom, how you do it's way different. But if you run the top, you better be hammering on it, especially qualifying and stuff. It's it's kind of got the cup in there in 1 and 2 that you just run wide ass open into. But then 3 and 4, a lot of guys will go in there and you kind of pinch going into 3 and turn back down the hill, which usually leads for good races. A lot of sliders and different things. So it's definitely, I feel like that one, I don't think it is as much now because people talk about Spoon River as much, but it was the hidden gem of Illinois there for a while.
Now it's probably Brownstown, Illinois. I mean, both of those tracks to me are the tracks that don't get enough attention. Yeah. And both are really good.
Turbo, have you raced there much?
Spoon, the flow races, and maybe 2 or 3 summer nationals. Last year I was away from winning the summer nationals race. That's kind of when I was really getting on a heater, and Fager kind of threw a slider bomb on me, and that place is so hard to, the top 3 and 4 you can wreck as is, you know what I mean? I mean, y'all been it kind of just an odd shape where you can put yourself in a bad spot, and Fager slid me and just put me in a bad spot, and I kind of got off the edge there. But yeah, Spoon's cool. I like Spoon. Not many places you're hauling ass there, but qualifying, I feel like it's man, we're fucking going faster. I had the track record there too. I don't know. I think Fager broke it last year at some point, but yeah, Spoon is it's so shouldn't be in Illinois, but it is. It still races really, really good. So yeah, I think Spoon is one of the ones this week that I feel like I have a really good idea of what to do there. I just, I the places you just can't win at, and you're all right, I'm so close, I just need to make it all work. That's kind of how I feel about Spoon. So, yeah, Spoon is definitely really excited to go back there.
And then, of course, we go Friday, and I know we all know Farmer City. Gordy had a big win there, and all you guys, I've seen all 3 of you guys run really good there. So Farmer City, and plus we go into the Lucas Series with that, and a lot more money on the line there, boys, when we get to the weekend with the last 2 races. And I'd like to know kind of what your thoughts are on Farmer City.
What do you think about Farmer City, KB?
Man, I love Farmer City. I've always ran fair there. I never won there. I was leading in Farmer City 74 there 4 or 5 years ago and had a flat tire probably less than 10 laps ago. And felt like we had it in the bag that year. But like I said, I've never really won there and accomplished it there. But I was like, I've been really close a lot of times. So overall, it's one of my better tracks. I like going there. I mean, I struggled the last time we went there here a few months back. I think I run 8th and 10th for 2 days in a row. But other than that, I've always been pretty fair, I feel like. If I've been there 10 times, I would say I probably run in the top 5, 7 of them, So it's been one of my better tracks, and just really looking forward to getting going to some of these good places and build my notebook up.
Turbo, you've had some success there, right? Didn't you? You won
Farmer City 74 last lap.
Yeah.
Past Ricky. Yeah. That place, that one's definitely my favorite for the whole week. Like, I'll just be honest. I think it's, for whatever reason, it's cool. 3 and 4, like, I know there's one lane in 3 and 4 that I know I'm going to run, and that's my lane. Just ripping the fence, watched enough of Bab do it. I just know that's where I'm going to run. So that makes it, I wouldn't say easier, but it's like peace of mind, because I said, okay, well, turn 3 and 4, this is basically what I'm going to do every lap. So 1 and 2, I just got to hang on and, just not completely kill my lap, and I should be okay. So, yeah, Farmer City's just crazy how it has so much grip when it's wet, and then it'll get dog dick slick, and you're, like, hanging on for dear life. So, I don't know. I really enjoy that, because it's a track, like, when you won there, just putting around the bottom, like you can win there as a driver running a really smart race. You don't really necessarily have to have the absolute fastest race car on any given night at Farmer City. So that's the tracks that I really, really enjoy, because I feel like if you run the smartest race and you know what you're doing, you have a really good shot to win there.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, that's one of the best tracks all week, I feel like, and I'm not taking nothing away from none of the other tracks, because they're all badass. But if I had to pick one track and say I could only race one for the week, I would have to pick Farmer City myself.
Yeah. I honestly, that's, I feel like Farmer, when I used to go there originally, like 16, 17, 18, I could never figure it out. And then it all happened in one night, when I won that summer national race. But it's just one of those places that we all have completely different styles of racing, but you can find a way to make them work at that place. And it's so tricky, like how, like, you come off a 2 and it flattens off, and you can drive off the backstretch and, be damn near ready to kill yourself running at the opening off of, into 3. But, it just always produces good racing. It's easy to, I feel like there too, the way the cushion can get you tight in 3 and 4 and kind of like stall you out, and you climb up it, and like that's what lets guys slide you. And every time I don't feel like there's really many bad races ever at their track, no matter what it is. Even if it's wide ass open and kind of rough, like it still produces. Every time. I mean, hell, I led the Lucas race there 2 years ago, the first 40-something laps until Sheppy got by me. And it just, like, I couldn't hold Sheppy off any longer. Like, I felt like I did everything I could, and I made 2 mistakes, and Sheppy made me pay for it. But I love going there, always have. So, I think that's obviously a great way to start capping the weekend. You go to there and race for a lot of money, and then you turn over Saturday and go to Fairbury. So it's this whole week in general, obviously, is badass just because the places we go. But you get to those 2 predominant Illinois tracks on the weekend to really just cap it off. So I mean, leading into Fairbury, obviously, like, I've had some success there as well, but it's kind of the same deal, right? It's like it throws a wrench at you every time you go. Sometimes everybody's up pounding on the fence, and sometimes it gets super slick, and you're kind of, hem-hawing your way around there. You can run the infield. You just never know what you're going to get at Fairbury. I mean, I think you always know you're going to get that curb, but some nights the bottom can just be way better than it. So, I don't know. What about, I don't know how much you guys have, success-wise that you guys have had there, but what does that lead into for Saturday?
I mean, Fairbury's always been pretty good to me, really. If I finish, I've won a race at Fairbury before, but most of my deal's always been there. I won there, I ran second there, so I was like, the biggest deal for me is just being able to put the whole 75 laps together. I've been running good and broke J-bars, been running good and broke the input shaft one time, and just never really been able to finish a 75 deal, 5-lap deal off like I'd like. I think I run 5th there maybe once or twice, and just, like I said, overall, just a 75-lap deal never treated me too good. But, like I said, I've won there before, and I like it. I feel like their race is way better when they're a big cushion. when the cushion goes away, I mean, I feel like it's another racetrack. As long as they got the false cushion there, it could be as good as anything, I feel like.
Yeah, I just think Fairbury finally won there, and I feel like that's just last year. I won Summer Nationals race there, but it is literally the hardest place to win at. Like, I would put Eldora hardest place to win at, Fairbury hardest places to win at, because everything about it, like, it's every race there feels like such a big race. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been to a Falls Cup race or something like, but even them, like, you go to a 2,500 win race at Fairbury, you know, Falls Cup and the Wheelie stuff, and you're from South Carolina, I would put a lot of money on it. You're going to get your ass beat because the locals are good there, and it's just so hard to have a really good night there because, you know, yeah, I flipped over the wrong way there. I mean, how's that impossible? But at Fairbury, in front of all these people, everybody there, I don't know a person there. You know, it's just, it's very intense. Like, it's a relaxed atmosphere and things like that. But it's like when you go on a racetrack, it's like all the lights are on you, and it's like watching an MMA fight or something. It's just the most intense, hard-nosed, like, toughest places to succeed at, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. I remember the first time I ever went to Fairbury. It's the first time I ever met Gordy too. It was a Summer Nationals race, Bab won. This was probably 2015, 16, and we parked outside the gate. And I never met Gordy. He obviously didn't know who the hell I was. And like we wheel out there, we're parked, and there was a C main at the Summer Nationals race. There's 50, 60 cars there. And I think I ran a smooth 20th in this C main, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm so bad because, you know, you go to places and you're like, oh, yeah, I can just kind of make me a lap and I'll be all right. Well, like, that place you can't. Like, you qualify bad, you're in bad shape. You start on the pole of this heat race and, you know, you make a mistake, next thing you know, you're in 8th, and it's like, it all happens so fast, and then you're behind and you're like, what am I doing? You know, so Fairbury is definitely one of the more challenging places for me, but also I feel like one of the most rewarding places you can win a race at, because you win a race there, it's like you just got on the fucking president of the United States of America. You know what I mean? People love it, so it's cool, and I think it creates a lot of pressure, creates a lot of like an aura around it, and that's why it's such a special place, you know. And I'd hope one day I could just roll in there with ease and be like, yeah, it's all going to work out. But it's one of those places that still kind of gives me butterflies, I guess, when I go there. I just am like, qualifying so intense. Everything's just so amplified because you're in an arena. You know what I mean? The grandstand's all the way around, the people yelling and screaming at you with signs, and just a lot of shit happening. And it's a very, very cool experience that, you know, I think everybody that races should experience it at least once.
Well, I think you hit it too. Like, qualifying at Fairbury is its own animal in itself. Like, it's when you talk about all the places you have to go, like obviously you go to Eldora, you got to lay laps down and stuff, but Fairbury, for whatever reason, like it's intimidating. I feel like when you roll out there, because if you slip up just a little bit, like, you're completely screwed. You know, it's like you could trash both your laps in a hurry if you get over the cushion in 3 and 4 and like completely ruin your night before it ever gets going. And then the heat races are always wild. You know, there is no room given at that place. Like, everybody's running over each other and you know, using each other up. But like, you have to, because if you're not on kill, then you're getting killed for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, you know, it's cool. It's funny you brought up like us hanging out there at Turbo, because it's like, I always think about that night. Me and Turbo, I was in the C main with you, I'm pretty sure, that night.
Yeah, we were terrible. Yeah. We're just like, and Babs next to us wins, it's raining, and everybody's at Babs trailers, and we're like in their way.
Dude, 100%. Dude, yeah. We had the door shut for like an hour before the feature even started. So it's like, I always think about it too that night. It's funny, I remember it because that was when Babs' daughter Finley was born. She was born the night before, and then he came over there. They brought down after, because they always give you the birthday cake, is what you're like, a cake when you win the race. Yeah, and I remember we were sitting there, and that one fan, remember he crashed a lap car that night for the win. and some race fan comes walking over and they're bitching at Bab, and and they're like, "Oh, good job, Bab. You had to just run somebody over, piece of shit." And Bab looked square at this guy and yelled across. He said, "Hey, buddy, fucking move it or lose it." It was great. But yeah, I think it's cool just in general this week. Obviously this is, I think, the third year we've done this, but I think it was cool to have kind of our own speed week in the Midwest, because Illinois obviously deserves it. I think if you ask me, I grew up in this area, but obviously Illinois produces the best racetracks and the best racing consistently. So if any place should have a speed week, it's the state of Illinois.
What's crazy is, you look at you got the Lucas guys, and then you throw in like Turbo and Bronson, and then Squirrel and Bab and Bobby and everything. And it's crazy of the depth of the competition this week. And like you mentioned, Turbo, the local guys, they're ready. They're not waving the white flag this week, and that's what I think what makes this week so special is you got so much money on the line, but at the same time, you guys are all talking about how you've all had success and everything else there, and it's really amazing because it's such a competitive group and loaded field of cars this week. It's really exciting for the race fan this week. This is a big week for the race fan.
Well, I think that too, and this is one of those weeks as well where you could run 18th on one night, or you could miss the race, and the next night you could be right up front battling for a win, and the same guys that were battling for the win don't make the race the next night. You're going to see a lot of good race cars every night not make these races, just because there's going to be 50, 60 of us in there, and that's what these racetracks produce is a lot of good racing, and I think it speaks for itself when you go to all these tracks, but it's wild how quickly everything can change, and then you throw those Illinois guys in with us. It's like, man, you get stacked fields every night.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough. I think we've seen it. I think last year Bobby didn't make one or two of them, and he won the last three. And it was like, he's obviously the best right now, and then you can get humbled really, really quick going to Illinois in general, but this week especially, because you're going to have a lot of heat from a lot of different areas on top of the local guys, and it's cool. It is definitely one of the coolest weeks of racing all year, and something that I really, really look forward to for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think too. It's definitely so tough because the place produces so much grip, really all of them early on, and then first to 15th to be less than a tenth apart, and this makes it so tough early. And this, like I said, I feel like most of the good drivers, if they get in the race, the cream always rises to the top there by the end of the feature there. But that's half the problem in these races, that half the good guys are sitting on the truck, and not even getting a race deal. So, it definitely makes it tough, but it definitely makes it rewarding when you run good and have a perfect night there,
Turbo, we can't. I got to ask you about the alien hunt down in Mooresburg when you went out on that deal. A lot of people don't know a little bit about that. I'd like to know a couple of experiences, both of you guys, with Scott. When we first started the Dirt Parlor and we started talking about this, I don't know if you guys know this, but Scott was going to be a major factor part of this. He's going to be on the show a lot with Gordy and I, and we both miss him a lot. And that guy was a very instrumental part of my journalist. And when I started doing all the right, he was the one that said, he goes, "Dude, you need to be writing, and you need to be the voice of me." And so I've got to ask you guys, because I know Bronson, you got Landers' Bloomquist car too. I'd love to hear a couple of stories. In Kyle can start our Turbo, but I'd love to hear a couple of Bloomquist kind of things. Something that maybe people don't know a little about, or something you just want to talk about, a little bit, because I know we all miss him.
Yeah, so my experiences wasn't too good there with Scott. He kind of jacked me around a little bit there, but
oh yeah,
but like I said, overall you can't ditch the guys. You got to respect him for what he's done for our sport. He's won everything. It's like he's definitely one of the goats in our sport. I think he's still second to Billy, my opinion, because I followed the Summer Nationals and the Cushions and all that stuff there, but. Like I said, no matter how much bad he's done to me, you can't take away what the guy's done in the sport, and it's awesome what he's done. He paved the way for a lot of us there, and he was great, he's a badass, built his own cars, did a lot of own things, flew airplanes, he lived everybody's dream there. So,
yes.
So, like I said, I don't like mine and his deal didn't work out good. But like I said, I hate it for his family. He got an awesome daughter, an awesome mom and dad, and they was all great to me. So, it's pretty cool. The little bit of time I got to spin around there. He got a nice place, nice lake. But like I said, some things just don't work out, and it didn't work out for me.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. I went there when we raced the XR races at Bulls Gap, and Overton, he actually took me over there. He's like, because Scott, we did the podcast or whatever at the racetrack, and Scott would get back and he's like, you don't need to come to the shop. You need to come to the shop. And I'd never been there, and I was honestly, I'm not scared of shit, but like I was just kind of intimidated. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are you gonna talk about? Like this guy. When we got there, and like pool table in the middle of the shop on this surface plate, and he had like, the old bar game where it's the hoop on a string and you stand back and throw it, and he's telling me all these stories, which, what's true, what's fucking fabricated, and, how much is the true stretch, but he's telling me, he's like, I've never had anyone walk in this shop and lay this hoop on there 10 times in a row. And I said, oh, no shit, we're bullshitting around. So I walk over there, and I'm just looking at it, and I've played it a bunch. I'm like Kyle, I kind of got a little bit of Carney in me, so I'm pretty good at shit like that. And I damn sure did. I hit it 10 in a row, and he looked me dead in the face, and he's like, fuck, you might actually be half a good race car driver after all. And I'm like, that's what it takes? You got to throw this fucking hoop on there? That makes you a good race car driver? Like, come on, man. But, he is entertaining. Like, being around him, it's just... it's like a reality TV show. You can't not watch and pay attention because, whatever you take out of it, he did everything he did. And, some people look at him as good, some people look at him as bad, but he captivated American dirt lake. You know what I mean? Like, nobody was like Scott who, you know what I mean? Everybody had an opinion or a say-so, and good press, bad press. He always was in the media, and he was always relevant. I think that's part of his, legacy or whatever you would call it, is he was so relevant for so long. It's not like he popped in and you didn't hear shit from him for 6 months. Like, he was just, he was always in the public eye, and, he was a very unique individual, and, you don't meet a lot of people like that. So whatever you take out of it, it's pretty cool to say that I actually met him and spend time with him. Got to meet him and not just walk up to him, like thousands of people did at the racetrack. Said, hey man, sign my t-shirt. Because when I was a kid, he did. When I first started going to races, he was a shit. And, I had plenty of Scott Bloomquist t-shirts that he signed, because I was like, that guy's, I don't even know what he is, but I want him to sign my shirt, and I'm going to buy a shirt. So it's something that, is always with history, and, you can't take any of that away from him. So it's pretty cool, just to meet somebody like that, have any sort of interaction with him at all.
No, that's how I've known him a long time, with him and my dad racing together, and just all the shit I've seen. And Scott used to stay at my dad's race shop, during times in the 80s and 90s, long before I was ever really around. So they always had a great relationship. And I think mine isn't really one of like the crazier stories, but something that I always think about when I was about 14, Scott came to our place, and he was terrible at it. Couldn't win at Tri-City. And one night after the races, he asked Dad, he said, hey, can I stay and test once everybody's gone? So it was Friday night. They ran our place. Saturday, they were going to Wheatland. And he stayed at our place. They tested till like 4 a.m. And one of the craziest things about watching Scott test was that he would go out and make half a lap and pull in. And he kept doing it. And I'm thinking like maybe he's running tires in or something. And finally I just asked him. He said, no, I felt exactly what I wanted to feel, and I didn't like it. And they'd pull in, they'd change something more. And it was the wildest shit I ever seen. And then he went to Wheatland the next night and absolutely busted their ass. And then they came back to our place later that year, and he won. And then he went on, I think he won like 4 or 5 Lucas races in a row at our place. And it's just, you know, I mean, it was hard to compete with how good he was in his heyday, and how smart, I guess, you know, as well, just the things he could do in a race car and the things he could do to the race car. So I think that, you know, that part of it, you know, we're going to miss probably seeing some of that, because there's not a ton of guys that are really doing it the way he did it anymore.
I think in closing, guys, we've covered a lot of ground tonight, and I can't thank you enough for both being on. But, you know, Tyler, you've been with Best now how long?
2019, so was that 6 years? 6, going on 7, something like that.
I mean, it's been a great relationship, huh? Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. I was, obviously, my parents, we had our own race team, and, you know, like everyone else knows, like, it's expensive, and it takes a lot away from, you know, your general life, your financials and everything like that. Basically, just kind of was at a crossroads, and, you know, everything was happening at Best with Josh leaving, and, you know, they were kind of up in the air, and really just got lucky, I would say. You know, Kendall were tight, and I had actually been up there once before when I was younger, you know, trying to get the ride, and I wasn't ready, and it's probably a great thing it didn't happen, because I would have run them plumb out of money, equipment, everything they own. So, you know, my parents, they got the growing stage part of me for sure. And then, you know, got there, and, you know, we've had a lot of success, you know, right off the rip. You know, first race I ever drove that car, won a Lucas race in Brunswick. And, you know, we've had you know, 2023 was a down year for us, but, you know, that's what I think shows how good we really are as a team is, you know, they didn't quit on me and shit came me because I had a bad year. They just, you know, everybody got behind me and was like, hey, look, what do we need to do? Like, let's figure it out. And obviously we've kind of changed the direction of what we're doing. We don't race for points per se, you know, we just kind of go and race, and where I think we can be successful. And, you know, that's cool to have. Like, there's not a lot of car owners in this sport in general, and, you know, probably half of them, they wouldn't even hold a candle for me. So I just, you know, I'm grateful that my guys and all my sponsors and Eric, they let me be me. And that's kind of the way I've always beat my own path. And, you know, I'm just fortunate to meet somebody like Eric. And, yeah, hopefully, you know, we keep racing. I'd like to think we're one of the longest tenured teams right now, you know, as far as driver owner has been. And I kind of respect that, you know, like Ray Vest and Rick Eckert, they were together a long time. You know, there's a lot of drivers and teams. JD and his guy have been together for a long time, but as far as just drivers coming into somebody they're not related to or have any ties to, it's hard to maintain a relationship for a long time. But, you know, we make it work and make the most of it, and, you know, I hope it continues that way for a long time to come.
Well, you know, your partner next to you is in the same situation, you know, with Bronson. Yep. You and Wayne, I mean, you guys have had what a relationship you've had there. You know?
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, just first going around Wayne there a little bit, he was racing modifieds, and I actually just started helping him a little bit, and it was pretty awesome. You know, I was going to all these different places because, like I said, I come from a family that didn't have much. They'd give me anything they had, but they never really had much. I thought East Bay was the only track in the country for about half my life, you know. And then Wayne, I started helping him with the mod, and we was going to Volusia and Ocala and Putnam, and the next thing you know, we started racing Brunswick a little bit, and I helped him for a few years there, and then eventually one day his dad had a car there, and his dad's like, hey, you want to drive my car? And I'm like, yeah, I drove it, and, you know, we run good, and we won at Putnam with it, and I started racing mods for him for a little while, and we had some success, and then after that, it's all history from there, you know. Wayne's taught me about everything I know, and truthfully, he's about like another dad to me now, you know. He does a lot for me in my personal life and racing, and like I said, I'm so happy I got tied in with somebody like him, because it wouldn't be nowhere near the fun with anybody else, and it's awesome, and I'm very just grateful and stuff he does for me. You know, I know one day, you know, every good thing's probably got to come to an end. This stuff costs more and more money every single day, so that's why we thank all our sponsors and stuff, because they help us get down the road. Every one of them matters, you know, but it's just nice to do this stuff with great people that really wants to do it, and if you have a bad day, not chewing your ass, you know. And it helped that Wayne's raced a lot, because I see a lot of these guys, you know, you go suck and run 15th one day, they're like, what the fuck, you know, ready to throw the towel in there. But, you know, he's been there, done that, so he kind of knows how it is and how tough it is. So he's just always the type of guy that hey, get off your ass and get to work here, and go get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I thought it was cool. It wasn't that cool for you, but earlier this year at Speed Weeks, when you got your shit tore up, and Wayne's in there ripping on the A post and helping, and he's got his hands in there trying to do whatever for you. So it's like, you see it from the outside, it's like he's more than just a car owner. He's not just a guy that's just flipping the bill just because he can. It's because he loves it, has passion for it. And, we all go through times where we're struggling or blowing shit up or, tearing shit up, whatever it is. And it's cool to see, especially for you guys, to continue, having a relationship with them and a team year after year, that you don't go into the off season going, man, I don't know if I'll have a ride or not. You guys just kind of keep progressing on your ends, and it's cool because that's obviously what we all have to keep racing, right? But it's neat from afar just seeing that the different walks of life you guys have both come from and where you're at now, and how much the success both of you have had across the country. And I think it's cool just seeing that.
You can tell, when the people, when they listen to this and they see this podcast, they'll get it to why you two are so good friends, because you can feel it even in here, that you guys just, all of you, just the way you two guys conduct yourselves. And that's why you have the sponsors that you have, and you've been able to, through the test of time, even like you mentioned, Kyle, the challenges you had earlier, the blown motors and everything else. There's a reason why people stick behind you. First of all, they believe in you, but the other thing is because they know inside you're a good person, So, and I'd like you guys to mention, both of you, talk about your sponsors. Give them a plug.
Yeah, I just like to thank all my guys that helped me. I got Race Car Engineering, you got Midwest Sheet Metal, Bilstein Shocks, Longhorn Chassis, Clements Automotive, LTX Home Builders, Angry Elephant Tattoos. There's Hoosier Tire, VP Racing Fuels. Everybody helps us, Nobody could do this without each other, It's like it takes every single one of them. I don't care if they're 50 race teams. It's all 50 of them got somebody that helps them get to the next racetrack. This is a tough deal, and we're very appreciative. And like I said, all my family, all my sponsors are like family to me. I'm very appreciative of everything they get to do for me.
Yep. You want to give a shout out to the family at home?
Yep. I say hello to my wife and kids at home. I hope Amber's feeding my damn cows while I'm gone, because I know I'm going to have to kick her ass. but for the most part, no, everything's good. So go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah. Obviously, Eric Brock, Best Performance, everybody that works there. Philly B, Magic Mike, babysits my dog. He's basically like a Best Performance employee. And all of our sponsors, I got Mark Langenfelder, with Langenfelder Mechanical, Anthony's Pizza, Tommy and Stacy, Scooter at Sandy Weld, Go Lithium Doug, Clements Automotive, same motors. And what's cool is we got some of the same sponsors. We got Chris Davis, Midwest Sheet Metal, probably one of the coolest dudes in the pit area for sure. Sunoco Race Fuels, KPC Graphics, Kaiser Integra Manufacturing. They do so much for me. Everybody that works there, that is what, like Kyle said, like I have a first name relationship with every single person that's on my race car. JRR Trucking, Chris, everybody at JRR Racing, they have their own race team and they still help me out. I appreciate them. Stephen Roberts at RBC, my mom, obviously, she's my number one. First Class Septic and all of her guys for, it's a lot easier. I think she loves that I don't live at home, because it helps her focus on what she's doing, and it's probably the cheapest option for her at this point. So, yeah, just everybody that's on my race car, Rocket Chassis. I'm kind of a Lone Ranger right now, but it all comes full circle. And, we've all been with this guy and that guy and had sponsors in the past that have came and gone. But every single person that's, spent $1 or turned a wrench or got in the truck or done anything for me and my race team, my family, I really appreciate it. And, I got Gabby. She's going to school right now, so one day I can retire and she can take care of me, and I'm counting down the days.
One of my favorite turbo moments of all time, and was when you won at the Dome.
Yeah.
And knowing that everything that happened, the way most people didn't even have any idea what happened, the way you conducted yourself and the way you went on your business in that win, I think for almost anybody will tell you, was one of the greatest wins in dirt late model history.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome night, Turbo. Awesome night for you.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's just an experience that, you obviously don't plan for stuff like that, and you don't know the right or wrong thing to do in the situation, and things seem to work out for a reason. I believe in karma, and a lot of people do, or you don't, but you can always look back at the situation and be like, damn, why did this work out the way it did? And it was almost fitting that I won, just the way everything played out. But yeah, it was tough. My dad was obviously probably my best friend in the whole world, but I wouldn't wish it upon anyone to lose a parent, but it's life, and yeah, I don't know. It wasn't like I thought about how I was going to handle the situation. It's just, as things played out, I fucking took it on the chin and was like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. And, it was an all-day planned experience. I won the race. I got out of the car and, I looked at my mom and I just could see it in her face, what she was, hiding and holding back. Not, everybody that we're close to is there in that time and place. So I just was like, you know what? I got 1.5 broad shoulders because I got a little baby arm, and I'm going to fucking put it on my back and take care of it, So, yeah, it was I get people still to this day it's once a day at a racetrack, someone will be like, man, I'll go there that night. That was, obviously it wasn't cool, but it was just such an experience that, I don't think anybody will ever forget.
No, definitely not. I know I won't for sure. I know I was a part of the race, and obviously, we pulled back to the trailer when we found all that out, and obviously, I remember coming right down to you just to try to give you an embrace, for being as strong as you were about it. But I look back, I'm sure for you, as shitty as the situation was, to cap it off that way, it probably felt like he was probably right there with you, kind of almost pushing you towards that win. So I'm sure, as much as it's not the best memory, it's, it kind of combines itself, and it was, obviously knowing the story, nobody would have wanted anybody else to win that night.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what's crazy. I think, everybody in there felt it. Gordy did. Kyle wasn't there that weekend, but just, a lot of people come up and, it's just such a real moment that, no matter what the fuck has gone on between any of us, at no point there was anybody like negative towards me. And I really appreciate that, because it's like, we're all so into what we're doing, but like, it just shows that it doesn't take something like that, but when the fucking gloves are off and it's all said and done, we all really do have some sort of care for each other. And, I appreciate that. I think everybody longs for something like that in life. And, in our little bitty community of racing and what we actually do, we're all really tight knit, and, that's cool. A lot of people don't get to experience, such a wide variety of people that all get along in a sense and, have the same beliefs and ideas and care for each other. So yeah, it's cool, man. I appreciate it, and I appreciate, that, this week something will happen between somebody or a group of people or something, but everybody in our community will embrace it, love it, talk shit about it, hate it, but we're into it, and that's something that not a lot of people get to experience.
Well, Bronson, you can't back that up. That's a pretty tough one that Turbo just ended there with a little bit, but anyway, guys, I can't thank you enough for both of you coming on the show with us. Really appreciate it. Two good dudes right here,
Yeah, Tyler's dad, he did a lot for all of us. Like, when me right now getting my ass kicked every weekend, he'd have me a different plan here, like, he's always called me every time I've been sucking, like, hey, let's do this, or let's try this, or let's go buy this, and even though, like, I had some guys, like a couple of my crew guys before, he told me a wise story one time. I've always listened to it, a wise tale he told me. He said, hey, when these guys don't want to wake out of fucking bed or wake up and go to work, He said, they're like a fucking tool. When they're broke, you trade them in and get you another one, you know? And I was like, there's a couple sayings I'll never forget. You know, Mark, he was a nice old fella, you know? I still wish he was here to put his foot in Tyler's ass every other day because he sure needs it, you know? But, you know, you just got to take all the great memories and just smile and just think about how happy you are, the things he taught us. And I mean, he helped us a lot in our younger days because, you know, we might not be where we're at today if it wasn't for a guy like him.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. All right, guys, I'm going to let you get back to driving up and down the road in a little bit. And, again, thanks for coming on the Dirt Parlor, guys. We really appreciate it. Hope to have you. You both better be on here again, too. I can tell you right now.
Definitely.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Hell yeah.
Yep. All right, boys.
Get the steaks ready. Text me your old lady's phone number. I can make sure you get to Wheatland.
You got it, partner. I will see you there. I'm going to miss Turbo, but I'll see Turbo down the road. So,
Goodbye.
all right, guys, be good.
All right, boys. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, those two guys, you know, I've raced a ton with them. They're two of the best dudes you're going to be around. They're wild. They're their own people. They got great families that they run up and down the road with. I think that's probably why we all gel together. Like Turbo was talking about, man, like when I met him the first time was at Fairbury, like we talked about, you know, and that's truly, we always go back to that story. And I've now known Turbo, you know, ever since then, and KB and those guys. So we just obviously appreciate them coming on and talking about, you know, their teams and all this stuff. But man, what a great show. And, you know, it fires me up when we do, you know, cool stuff like this.
Me too. I knew it was going to be good because of the fact that the two of them are so close.
Yeah.
And tonight the people at home, I hope they realize what these two bring to the table.
Yeah.
It is special. And it's really wild is because I kept thinking about it, the fact that here it is, Turbo, you know, you guys got so many things going through your mind stuff, and he remembered exactly when you and him first met.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And it just tells you the fraternity that the racers have.
Yeah.
And I'm not a racer or anything, but I'm blessed that you guys are a part of my life.
Yeah.
And I get to see it. And that's what the Dirt Parlor is kind of all about was tonight. What we saw tonight is really what the Dirt Parlor is.
Yep.
And I hope that people get to see a side of these guys that you don't hear about or see about it. And we did our job and it was easy because they're like us.
Yep. Yep.
And it's special. So
yeah,
I'll let you close the show, Gordon.
No.
And this was an epic night.
Yeah, no, for sure. And in reality, just thankful for this, you know, the Dirt Parlor in general. And I think as we continue to grow this thing, I think these are the nights that continue to show light to who these guys are, you know, and who all we are that run up and down the road. I mean, every guest I feel like we've had so far, it all comes back to that racing community, and you know, we want to shed light to all of them. You know, I think that was the whole idea behind the Dirt Parlor, and we're just thankful to our great partners and Steve Martin and Jeff Hoker and Bodies by Skinny and Checker Customs, and you know, and you, Don, and EJ and Bob, and yeah, just man, I'm fired up right now about.
You're ready to get in the truck.
Everything's, man. You know, I'm ready to go racing, but you know, I just, like I said, we can't thank all of our partners here enough at the Dirt Parlor. So make sure you tune in to YouTube, like and subscribe, and until next week, we're going to recap some crazy shit, I'm sure, next week. But
5 nights of racing in Illinois at these tracks, shit's going to hit the fan this week.
You're damn right. So we appreciate everybody at home, and see you next week.
All right. Special thanks to Steve and Mr. Hoker. Really appreciate all the love. Thank you.